Welcome to another edition of TM3 Impact. My name is Tomas Martinez, and I am super excited about today's guest. Today we have Rob Myers, the owner and director of instruction at R2M Golf Academy. Welcome, Rob.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm glad you're here. I know it's going to be a busy day, so let's dive in. I want to know, tell me, Cliff Note version, your San Antonio story.
San Antonio story. I've been here a long time. So I grew up a military brat. So I moved all around the country in my younger years. Got here in '97 when I was in high school. My dad was stationed at Fort Sam, and so that brought us down to Texas. Really had not played any golf until that point. Was into a lot of other sports, right? So I played football and baseball growing up. Got to Texas, and at that time I was 13 years old. Realized that my size and strength was probably not going to be really my major asset in life, right? So I started looking at other sports. Got into golf a little bit, just totally fell in love. And San Antonio is a great place to do it, right? So once I played a little bit of golf at Churchill, it was just something I said, hey, this is what I'm going to chase. This is what I'm going to do. And the rest is history there. I mean, I literally lived on the golf course for about 2.5 or 3 years.
From that time when you first moved here?
I did, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's well. So, thank the military.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic,
absolutely.
Man.
I actually remember coming out, and I started at Churchill and said, hey, I think I'm going to play football. And so I was all signed up and registered and went out for one of their, summer camps, right before my freshman year. And I'll never forget walking out there on the field, and I saw all these guys, and I thought, wow, this is cool. This is like a senior-led, varsity thing. And I told one of the people, at the admin about that, and they said, what do you mean senior-led? I said, all those guys out there. They said, no, that's the rest of the freshmen. I was like, you gotta be kidding me!
These are like grown men.
Yeah, these are the guys that guy's got a full beard. I'm like 5'1", 105 pounds, right? So,
my God.
So I soon realized that that was probably not going to be the direction I was going to take my athletic career.
Yeah. So you played your freshman year in high school.
I did.
Okay, I did too.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember very distinctly going to the football coach and basically letting him know I will no longer be playing. I can't. There's no way this is going to work anymore. Yeah. So I remember that day. I did not break 100 pounds until my sophomore year.
Okay.
Of high school.
We would have been.
What about
friends.
you?
We would have been friends.
We would have been boys.
We would have been really good friends. I was 105 pounds, 5'1", 105 pounds going into or leaving my sophomore year of high school.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. We were right there with you. We should have been just eating in the corner or something, trying to sack on some pounds.
Seriously.
Okay, so go back to that time. Being a military, moving around quite a bit. I'm curious. What was that like coming into San Antonio at 13? You're coming into this new school. You're coming into Churchill. Go back to that time. What was young Rob like back at that point?
It was there's a piece of that's exciting, right? I mean, we moved around a lot, and so it was something that we were kind of used to. So I've got an older sister. We were always real close, and so as we traveled around, we're a real close-knit family. So going to new places wasn't something new for us, right? I mean, it was something that, hey, that's just what we did. Yeah. And so it's, go to school and you're involved in a sport or organization, you make new friends and off you go. That's a challenging time though, right? I mean, high school, when you go from middle school, you generally would go with a group of friends. And so I'm coming in knowing nobody except the grown men that I thought were seniors that were really freshmen on the football team. So, that was different. I mean, it was challenging, right? Because those, I think in a lot of circumstances, if you're not part of that clique that's going to be the starting group or whatever, then friends are a little harder to come by, right? So it's not like I jumped right in and became, friends with the varsity quarterback or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it was it was a tough first year for me, an adjustment period. But fortunately, I was able to find golf, and that was something that, while I'm a team-oriented person, that was something that I could do on my own.
Yes.
Which was great, right? I mean, it was a great outlet for me. I could go practice on my own. I could focus. It was something I didn't have to depend on other folks for.
Yes.
So it ended up being something I could really lean on that was helpful, kind of to get me to get me through what was a difficult time.
Yeah.
For sure.
So where were some of the other places that you were stationed with your family?
So I was born in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and then from there I was Germany and
Where at in Germany?
in Würzburg, Germany.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And so from Würzburg, we came back to the States. We're in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Northern Virginia to Washington State back to Northern Virginia.
Oh my gosh.
And then down to Texas. Yeah.
What? So you were East Coast, West Coast,
Yeah.
and then back.
All over. Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
in Texas, your family fell in love with Texas, it sounds like.
Absolutely,
Now,
yeah.
were anybody from Texas in
Nobody's
your family?
from Texas. Nobody's from Texas.
Interesting.
Yeah. We always thought of Texas as being like its own country.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
pretty much is.
It is, yeah.
I mean,
And I remember telling,
really?
I told my friends when I was leaving Virginia, I said, hey, we're going to Texas. And I had one buddy, he's like, hey, you guys going to ride horses to school? They're like, like,
course.
what do they do down there? And,
Of course.
so, I mean, it was different. It's definitely no Northern Virginia.
Right.
And I that's not a bad thing. I love Texas and am happy to be here. Obviously, I stayed. Right?
You stayed.
So,
Yeah. It's hard to leave, San Antonio. There's a couple of points Christina and I thought about it, but it's really tough to leave this city. It's such a great city. So now you go through school, you get on the golf team. You basically become like a golf course just junkie. You were just on the course. Who was your inspiration that got you into golf?
That's a great question. I took my first golf lesson with a guy named Tom Cavino.
Is he still here? Is he still in San Antonio?
He is. Yeah. So he actually owned and operated the driving range that is right down the street from the studio here, off of Blanco Road. That was
Really?
previously
Joe Caruso, the one? Yeah. Okay. Say his name again. Who was the guy?
Tom Cavino.
Tom Cavino. Shout out to Tom Cavino.
For sure. Yeah. And so I worked with Tom for probably 10 or 12 months right out of the gate. And he really kind of got me passionate about the game. He's super energetic guy, fantastic working with especially kids, or younger students, and so he really kind of got me hooked on the game.
What was it? What did he do that was able to do that? Because that's really difficult.
It is,
right. So, what do you think were the keys that Tom did that helped you kind of fall in love? Now, some people naturally fall in love.
Sure,
You've seen that,
yeah.
But what do you think that he did specifically?
I think his just general excitement, right, was huge, right? I mean, you'd go into a lesson and he was always upbeat, and he was always positive, and he was always talking. I mean, it's just a very high energy guy. And that got me excited about doing it, right? I mean, I looked forward to going to golf lessons, and he was a super positive person. And I think just an overall just a good influence.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so very, very supportive, and I'm friends with Tom till this day. So I saw him a couple weeks ago, and just a great guy. And I think that really kind of got me started.
Okay.
And spurred me along. And I had a couple instructors along the way after Tom that were extremely influential.
Yeah.
But he really, I think, kind of planted the seed.
He set the stage,
He did.
right?
He did.
Anybody in your family play golf?
Yeah, I've actually got my dad played a lot of golf when he was alive. My granddad played a ton of golf. I've got uncles and cousins that play golf, and it was introduced to me originally when I was very young, like 7 or 8 years old, and my granddad sent me to a golf camp, and I was like, I mean, this is kind of boring. I mean, like this is moving way too slow.
Right.
And so it was just kind of like a flash, right? I mean, I went to a golf camp and swung the club around, and then didn't pick it up again.
Right. Now, did you have Jack energy when you were little? Because I've met your son. Jack energy, there's like certain energy and there's Jack energy.
Yeah, I had energy. I'm not sure I was on that level.
You weren't that
though.
Jack energy?
No, I wasn't on that level.
Your son is awesome.
He's got a lot of. I mean, he's got energy for days.
Yeah, that's killer.
It is. It's cool. It's exhausting.
Yes.
But anytime I'm frustrated with it, or I'm thinking like, man, this kid's got to calm down, I think it's better than the alternative.
100%.
So
yes.
I'd rather be trying to get him to calm down than trying to peel him off the couch. So
exactly, that is exactly right. Okay, so high school. How'd you do in high school? So you graduate high school and you go to St. Mary's. Is that correct?
I did. Yes.
So talk about. Did you go in there for golf? Were you going there? Was it part of a golf scholarship? Like, how did that transition from high school?
It was. I actually, I just did all this talking about how I was obsessed with golf and kind of like just lived on the golf course. But the truth is, I was bad. I mean, when I started playing golf, I was. I mean, bad would be a kind way to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started playing my sophomore year. I did not make the golf team.
Okay.
And then the second semester of my sophomore year, I did make the golf team.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, here we go. I got thrown into a varsity event very quickly, which was an ugly event. Ugly.
Do you remember one hole in that event?
I remember the number when I was done, and it was bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was 111.
Okay.
And so I was literally known as 111 for the next year.
That's what they called you.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, yeah. And so I remember my high school coach at the time, Mike Martin was his name.
Yeah.
He's actually the coach now at Johnson High School, so he's still around. He's a great high school coach and was always very supportive. But he said, Rob, we got to get you playing a little bit better. I mean, there's a question of whether I'm going to make the team my junior year playing golf. I mean, it was pretty bad, and I used that kind of as inspiration, though I did, So after 111, I was like, I'm going to ditch this nickname as fast as possible.
I love it.
So I played.
So it motivated you.
It did. It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played and practiced like crazy.
Yeah.
Somewhere between my junior and senior year, things started to trend up quickly.
Okay.
And I had a good senior year of high school. Was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to play college golf.
Yes.
And so that was as part of a scholarship at St. Mary's.
That's awesome.
And once I saw the success there, I mean, that continued to motivate me. So my 4 years of college golf were just literally eat, sleep, golf, and occasionally pick up a book.
I got to go to class real quick.
Yeah.
Right?
Seriously, yeah.
Well, that's really interesting, right? Because, people, I'm sure people would, like, they may talk to you and they may assume, like, well, he was just like this scratch golfer from the moment he picked up the sticks. And the reality is that's really not the case for most people picking up the sticks when they start.
No,
I mean, it's just not.
It's not. It's an incredibly challenging game, right? And I think people who have done things athletically before, they watch golf on TV, and it seems pretty simple. It seems pretty easy. I mean, the ball's not even moving. I mean, there's like nobody's heckling them. But then they pick up a club and try it, and they're like, man, this is a little harder than I thought.
It's a lot harder.
It's a lot harder. Yeah. So I mean, it does not come natural to many people.
Yeah.
Right. That's just. I think that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah. So then we go. You start your career, and then you begin from college. Did you have aspirations going from a pro standpoint? Like, what kind of happened the transition once you got out of college with golf?
So when I graduated from school, I had played well enough my last couple years of college to say, hey, I think I want to try and play competitively.
Yeah.
I mean, if I continue to improve at that pace, maybe I can, compete at that level and make some money doing it. And so, I mean, there was value in that to me, at least to let's say, scratch that itch, right? Whether or not it actually happened, I felt like if I didn't at least try, I'd regret that.
Yeah.
And so when I graduated, I went ahead and I tried for 2 years to play competitively.
Okay.
It was mainly just traveling around and playing like mini tour events.
Okay.
So that's like Adams Pro Golf Tour, US Pro Golf Tour. It's not a glorious lifestyle by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. So
this is jumping in the car.
It literally
tournament
is.
To tournament.
Yeah. So people say a lot like, "Oh, that's cool. You play like, did you ever play with Tiger? Or did you play?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not playing like that, right? I mean, playing mini tour golf is literally you run a shower curtain across the back of your car, and you've got your clothes hanging on it. You go from one small town to the next, and you're in." Victoria, Texas, and then Beaumont, and then you're up in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, and then over to somewhere in New Mexico, Louisiana. I mean, so it's not glorious,
right?
Yeah, you think of like professional athlete and some of the stuff that comes along with that, and that's not what the daily grind is for a mini tour guy.
Yeah. But a lot of those guys, that's how they get from there to the tour. I mean, they've got to go through, it's part of the process.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. And so I told myself when I started that it was going to be a stepping stone for me. Right. Okay. And I was either going to, take that step and continue to move towards the next level, or it was something I was not going to do.
Right. Right.
And so after, a year and a half to 2 years of that, it was a scenario where, financially, just it wasn't making sense.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really making that step forward that I needed to.
Okay.
And so in order to kind of to make ends meet, I started to work in a golf shop here. I actually worked over at Silverhorn.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I'm going to work in the golf shop a little bit, when I'm in town, so I can at least make some money when I'm here.
Right.
I'll still play a little bit. As I did that, I actually had the opportunity to start teaching a little bit.
Okay. That's when it started. What year was that?
It did. So that was 2007.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a good friend of mine who teaches here in town, Nathan Camacho.
Okay.
Was teaching at Silverhorn, and he provided me the opportunity to teach a few golf lessons, which I'm very grateful for. And I kind of thought, well, you know what, I'm going to teach some golf, and at least I can make some money when I'm in town, but I'm really going to go back out and make some money playing golf, right? And after I taught a few golf lessons, I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed teaching. I didn't expect it to be something I really enjoyed that much. It was more like, hey, this is how I'm gonna help pay rent.
Yeah.
But I actually, much like I fell in love with playing golf, I really fell in love with teaching it.
Yeah.
And seeing some of the results and seeing what the kind of the joy that you could help others achieve, like with the game, was awesome.
Yeah.
And so as I'm doing that, I'm teaching a little golf, and I'm making some money, and then going on the road and really not making much money, and I've got a family. It didn't make a lot of sense for me to keep hitting the road.
Yeah.
And as competitive as I was, and that's I'm still a very competitive person. I mean, I'm competitive almost in everything that I do. Right. It was just something that just didn't make a lot of sense anymore.
And it was time.
It was time.
Yeah.
Was time.
Do you remember? I would imagine when you're on the road and you're trying to make it, right? It's like a business owner.
Sure.
It's like an entrepreneur. You're trying to make it. You're going through it. Was there ever a moment in that part where you were seeing other people that were able to make that transition? They were able to go from that stepping stone to the next stepping stone, and did you see anything where you go, okay, that was the difference? This was the difference. Was there anything that just kind of like that you, now looking back on it, were the keys for people being able to make that transition?
I think there were a couple. I mean, I certainly remember a time I played a mini tour event in Lubbock, and I was staying with a buddy up there, and we were having a good time. It was a good week, and after Friday, I'd made the cut, and I was in third place, and I was 8 under through 2 rounds. Okay. And I thought, hey, things are good, right? And in that third round, I did not play well. I shot 77, and one of the guys I was playing with, he was 8 under going into the third round as well. He was tied for third, and that afternoon, he shot 60. He shot 66 or 67, and shooting 66 or 67, he went from tied for third to tied for 9th. So he went back 6 spots after that round, and I played with him, and I watched that round. And obviously, I didn't play well, but I remember sitting in my buddy's basically dorm room or house that night, and I said, I was like literally talking to myself. I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. I mean, I don't know that that's in me. Because even if I would have played lights out again and shot 67, I was playing well that week. Like I still would have gone backwards.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was a difficult, but a necessary time for me, because I started to realize at that moment, like, maybe this is not the time for me to do this. Not that I'll ever play competitively again, but that was a moment that was like, hey, there's a few dudes around me that are just doing something different.
Yes.
That I'm not on that level yet.
Yes.
And when I look back at that, I think it was probably more like a mental one than it was a physical one.
Right.
That I just was not in the headspace and mentally. My game had not reached that place mentally where I could deal with that kind of stress.
Yeah. Which I'm sitting here like, even when you said he shot a 66 and he went backwards.
Yeah, I mean it was insane. I mean,
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean the scores that day, and I still think about it every once in a while. I'm like, how are there that many people that shot somewhere between 62 and 65? Right. I mean, it's like, that's crazy good golf.
Yes, it is.
I don't care where you are, or what level you're playing at. I mean, that's just That's a lot of birdies.
That's a lot of birdies.
That's a lot of
And
birdies.
a lot of eagles.
And a lot of eagles. That's right. That's right.
Right? And a lot of eagles. Now, I think, the mental aspect to the game, right? So when you're coaching now you're coaching, you're at R2M Golf Academy. Your location is right behind Oakwell Farms. So what's the name of that street that you're on?
Ira Lee.
Ira Lee.
Yep.
Right on Ira Lee. My son goes there. Enzo loves working with you.
Awesome. Love it.
I mean, Rob, he loves working with you.
Love
and
it.
I really appreciate just the hard work that you put into that. Because I know it's not easy.
Sure, sure.
Coaching kids. I was a teacher, okay? It's not easy. But, the mental aspect, I talk a lot about mindset, right? And so I'm curious, now that you've coached you've coached a lot of kids, you've coached adults, the mindset, what are you trying to instill in a new golfer? And then kind of like that piece. And then what are you trying to instill in someone that, maybe they're in their 40s, they're an executive, they're trying to get their golf game better. What is the mindset the same, or is it a little different? Do you start tweaking it? I'm curious your thought on that.
Yeah, I think probably the one thing that's the same is that it's there's got to be a certain level of patience there, right? So I mean, whether you're whether you're teaching someone who's 6 years old or whether they're 66, right? And which is crazy to think about that. I mean, the mind of a 6-year-old versus someone that age is so different. But if there's not a certain level of patience associated with the journey that golf is, then it's going to be a struggle for everybody involved.
Man, I'm glad you said that.
And so,
hear that again.
Yeah, there we go. It's patience. It's patience.
Patience.
Yeah, and so I tell people a lot that it's there's a reason that it's a game of a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And that it's it's something that you're constantly going to be learning and getting better at. Even the guys that play on tour, they're working towards something. They're constantly learning or working on their game. They're not that journey's never finished.
Yeah.
Right. And golf is not a project. I tell people that a lot, right? I mean, projects have start dates and they have end dates. And golf is not that. It has a start date, but there is no end date really.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to pause right there because that's a really interesting mindset. Golf is not a project, right? And I'm going to just flip that to business. Like your business is not a project.
Right.
Right? So if you take that same mindset with your business and you're like, oh, I just got this project here and eventually it's going to be, no. Business is the infinite game.
Sure.
Just like golf. It's
Sure.
a life game. I love that.
Yeah.
So it's patience. Golf is not a project. I love that. So good.
Yeah. And when you say that about business, right, I don't think anybody opens a business and they say, I'm opening this business on this date and I plan to close it on this date. Right. I mean, it's like,
I love that.
You open it and your dreams are big, right? I mean, you think this business is going to be so incredible. I'm going to have to pass it down to somebody or sell it before I die or something. I mean, it's a forever thing.
Yeah.
It becomes your baby, right?
Yes.
And so I think golf is a lot like that. I mean, it's one of those things where I think when you start, you're going to play it forever. You're going to learn it forever.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
So patience with the game, understanding this is not just a project. We're not just going to have a start and end date.
Sure.
You're not going to start and go, okay, in 6 months, I'm going to shoot 3 under par.
Absolutely. And then I'm done with lessons forever.
That's right.
Yeah,
No.
I was teaching a beginner ladies group one time, and I had a lady. We get like 2 classes in, right? And we're working on still pitching, and she's struggling a little bit, like most of them are.
Of course.
And so she backs up and she says, "I got to ask you, Rob, how long is it going to take me to get good?" And I said, "Is that a trick question?" And she says no, like how long? Like how long do I need to get good? How long will I need to do this before I can get good, right? And I said, well, good's a relative term, right? So good relative to what? And she said, well, where I don't have to think about anything, I can just set up to the ball and hit it. And I said, never. Wow. And she kind of looked at me funny, and I said, sorry. I mean, I just, I don't think you will ever reach a point in your golfing career where you will think about nothing and you'll just set up and hit the ball. Right. I mean, it's just, it's a thinking man's game, thinking woman's game. It's a great story. Right?
I love that.
So unfortunately for her, her golf career did not last a whole lot
It
longer,
did.
right? I mean, she did not like that response. So it was
The reality of that answer probably was shattering.
it was,
And it could shatter a lot of people.
yeah. I mean, the only thing
Right?
I can take, I feel like it helps me to put my head on the pillow to say I probably saved her a lot of money, though, right? I mean, because
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it was brutally honest, but in the same breath, like it's obviously something that maybe she shouldn't be doing.
But it's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth at the
Yeah.
end of the day. I got to talk about yoga.
Okay.
Because in I remember you mentioning this to me that yoga saved you and your body. And so I do think we need to spend just a little bit of time talking about that journey. What was going on physically with your body to where you were like, okay, I need something, and then what transpired with the yoga?
Sure. When I played college golf and I played right-handed. I'm a right-handed person, right? And so I did that for all of my career, and I always worked out, like kept myself in what I thought was pretty good shape. Yeah. And then when I stopped playing competitively, I mentioned earlier what a competitive person that I am. And after I'd been teaching for a couple of years, I kind of ran into this. I'm not going to call it like a depression, but it was just kind of a bummer. It was like, I love to play golf. I don't get to play much golf anymore. I don't get to scratch that competitive itch, right? I was in kind of a funk, like, it's great helping people, but, selfishly, I kind of wanted to do something for me.
Okay, yep.
And so I thought I need to do something to jumpstart the way I feel about golf, like bring a little excitement back for me. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to teach myself to play golf again, but left-handed. Right? So,
okay, wait, time out.
Yeah.
You decided to relearn your swing left-handed.
Left-handed. And it just.
What year was this?
This was in 2010.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I've been teaching for like 3 years, right? And I said, okay, I'm gonna try and teach myself to play left-handed. I think I'm a pretty good instructor, right? I'm a fantastic athlete, right? So this should not be that hard.
No.
Yeah. So
Sounds incredibly crazy hard, but keep going.
Yeah. So I reached out to a guy at Callaway that I work with. I'm a Callaway staffer, and so I've used their equipment for years. And I said, hey, this year on my staffing agreement, why don't you send me some left-handed clubs? And he started laughing. And he said, who are you getting clubs for? Yeah. And I said, for me. He goes, seriously? Like, what do you, no, I'm not going to do that. And I said, like, it's no skin off your back. Just send me some left-handed clubs, you probably have some old beat up ones, and, they won't go against your staffing account. So just send them my way. Yeah. He says, whatever, Myers. Yeah. Right. So he sends me these left-handed clubs, and I'm on the range, and I'm just going at it, right, for, probably 6 weeks. Okay. And I get 6 weeks in, and I can't move, right? I'm 6 weeks in, I'm getting up, I've got like a stiff neck, I come into work, like people are hitting golf balls and I'm trying to watch them hit, and I'm like, I can't see the ball fly. I'm in my mid-20s, I'm thinking, like, I was like a collegiate athlete, right? I run like half marathons. Like, I can't swing a golf club left-handed. What's wrong with me? Yeah. And so I said, I got to figure this out, right? And I remember in college, someone had recommended yoga to me for golf, and I was like,
get out of here.
Get out of here. Like, I'm working on beach muscles, right? I'm not doing any yoga, right? So I thought, you know what? Like, what's the worst that can happen? I can't move right now. So I'm going to take a yoga class.
And it was all in your neck. You felt really stiff, or your whole body?
Neck and upper back.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Just a total mess, right? Okay. And so I said, hey, I'm going to take a yoga class, right? And so I took a yoga class and felt pretty good. And it was actually my wife had said, why don't you try yoga, right? So she ended up buying me a pass, like a 5-pack or something, for some yoga classes, which she probably now at this time regrets. But here I am, like a couple weeks in, I'm doing yoga poses in the living room at 9:00 at night. I'm like, look at this, right?
Oh,
but
wow!
So
you got a little competitive.
Yeah,
just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? Like my nature. So I'm totally get hooked on yoga, right? And I'm like yogi for a year, right? So I'm going all over San Antonio. I'm going to different yoga studios. I'm taking classes, whatever. Okay. And I feel great, right? I mean, my body feels good. Haven't touched a club left-handed. I was like, you know what? Maybe that was kind of silly. Yeah. So I go back to right-handed, and hitting golf balls right-handed while I'm doing yoga for a year, and then I get this wild hair again the following year, and I said, you know what? Now I'm going to go back to left-handed and see what happens.
Okay.
So here we are, like 2011-ish. Picked up the lefty set again, and I played golf for a year left-handed. The entire year, not one neck problem, not one body issue.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, this is so cool. I got like 6 months in, and I was like, I can't believe that I thought I was that in shape, and I really was that unbalanced with my body.
Yeah.
And so
yoga was able to get all that tension, release it all, and allow you to get back to even trying to hit left-handed again.
Correct. And really, I felt like to better balance my body, right? So I felt like my core strength was better. I felt like my flexibility was better. And so I played that whole year left-handed. And
I got to ask, best score left-handed?
I've only really played probably 8 to 10 rounds, like full rounds left-handed.
Yeah.
And as long as I don't get in a bunker, I'm really okay, right? So I shot several rounds in the low 90s that way.
That's insane.
But
that's insane.
If you put me in a bunker, I'm gonna have to take an unplayable lie or hit the sand and throw the ball out or something.
Right.
This is not
good wedge.
Seriously, not so good. That's the one time I'll call a mulligan card when I can get in the bunker left-handed.
I can't even. Do you know of any other PGA instructor that has done that? I've never heard of anybody.
I know a couple of people that can play both ways, right? That can do that.
Okay.
Maybe not that tried in like kind of the stubborn fashion that I did.
Okay.
To where I just took my right-handed clubs and basically locked them in a closet.
Yeah.
But it was a cool experience. And when I got about halfway into it that year, I decided, hey, I think I want to share this with other people. If that could help me at the age and stage that I thought I was in life, then imagine what yoga could do for some guy who's, 70 years old and has a bad back, right? Or, and there's a large part of the golfing population that fits that kind of demographic, right? That's maybe older, bodies maybe not in great shape.
Yeah.
And so it's something that I started doing a few yoga classes at Silverhorn when I was working there. I rented out their pavilion.
That's awesome.
And we were just running like what we called golf-specific yoga, which was really just a way to try and get some of those guys in there and doing that. And it was a cool experience. I feel like it was maybe a chapter of my life that was a shorter one. It opened and closed,
right.
Relatively quickly.
Yes.
But it was an exciting one, and it's something I learned a lot from.
And it got your body back.
And it got my body back into much better shape.
Got your body. Do you still do any yoga now?
I do, not nearly as much as I would like to. My lifestyle at the moment doesn't, unfortunately, allow it as much as I'd like. But it's something I feel like I can always go back and draw on, or I'll maybe not going to attend yoga classes, but certainly doing series of poses or stretches when I'm feeling tight or my body doesn't feel great.
You know what to do.
I know what to do.
Yeah, that's killer. That's killer.
It was kind of a cool. A cool experience for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about the academy. You opened the academy, R2M. You opened that academy. What year? The golf academy.
In 2017.
2017. Open it up and talk about what you guys offer at your golf academy.
Sure. It really an exciting adventure for me. Right. I was at Silverhorn for the better part of 10 years, and when I left Silverhorn, it was. It was difficult, right? I mean, I built a lot of really good relationships there, and I saw this opportunity to take over this facility. The particularly unique part about this for me was that I had learned to play some golf there, right? So when I was in college, I worked with a gentleman by the name of Stan Altgelt, who I learned a lot from golf-wise, right? I mean, he was probably an inspiration for me in my later years with golf. Much like Tom Covino was in my earlier years. And Stan actually taught at that facility. Okay. It was, at the time, just not in good shape, right? I mean, it was something, a driving range that had been there for years, but over time it changed hands, ownership a few times, and was not really taken care of, right, or shown kind of the TLC it needed.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a an undertaking,
Yeah.
right? And so
it's a passion project.
it is a passion project. I like that. Yeah, as I tell people, it's a labor of love,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I kind of made the leap to do that. I was fortunate enough to have a couple folks that worked with me at Silverhorn that were, maybe as enthusiastic / crazy or stupid like I was, to say, you know what, like, we're just going to go and start mowing a bunch of grass and throwing a bunch of sand around and see what happens.
Yeah.
And in fact, when we originally bought it, I didn't even tell anybody that I had it for like 3 months.
Oh, really?
Because I felt like it was in such bad shape. I didn't really even want to put like my name to it yet. I'm like, hey, I don't want people to come out here and see this.
Yeah.
And I even had, like, one of my buddies came out there and looked at it and he says, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yeah.
And I said, I kind of already have.
Yeah. I've already committed.
So I remember he's standing there and he's got his hands on his hips and he's kind of like, he's turning around side to side and looking at it and he goes, "Do you know what you're going to call it?" And I said, I think I'm going to call it R2M Golf Academy. I'm the second. My dad was the first, and rather than RM2, I think I'm going to put the 2 in the middle and we'll call it R2M.
Yeah.
And he says, "I have a suggestion before you finalize that." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I think you should call it Jungle with Flag Sticks." I said, "Thanks, you can leave now." Right? I mean,
Bye.
You can go. You can go. I mean, it was totally overgrown, right? I mean, and so you could hardly see the sticks. I thought he was getting ready to say something serious.
Yeah.
And so, that kind of puts it in perspective. I mean, my superintendent from Silverhorn came out and looked at it for me and kind of did a quick analysis. And, I'll never forget, he walked out and the couple assistants that came with me from Silverhorn are there and we're literally standing on the putting green.
Yeah.
And I said, "Can you look at the putting green? You're going to do a soil sample for me. You kind of look around the facility. What do you think?" And he's looking around, kind of turns a 360, says, you said you had a putting green here, right?"
Yeah.
"Where's it at?" I said, "You're a superintendent. You're standing on it."
Yeah.
And he put his head down and he said like a couple 4-letter words, right? And he says, "Man, you got a lot of work to do." Right. And so it was kind of during that 3-month process where I realized, hey, we probably should not tell anybody until we can get this at least, respectable, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we cut a lot of grass and we filled a lot of divots and we threw a lot of sand and put down a bunch of fertilizer and now, I mean, it's certainly not where we want it to be, but it's trending that direction.
Yes, big time.
And so, as far as what we offer, it's what we'd call semi-public, right, or semi-private, right, to where we do offer memberships.
Okay.
So you can come out and purchase a monthly membership, which gets you unlimited use of the driving range.
Okay.
Or you can come out and you can just purchase golf balls by the bucket.
Yeah.
And then we've got myself and then 3 other people that teach golf lessons out there.
Okay. Who are the other instructors?
So Heather Weedage is out there. She teaches with me. She's a PGA associate, so she's working towards her PGA certification.
Perfect.
Jake Almendarez, he also came with me from Silverhorn.
Yeah.
And then Adam Alviar does some teaching out there with us too. He's actually a teacher, the head golf coach at Madison High School.
Oh, awesome.
And so when he's got some free time, weekends and summers, he's out there teaching some golf lessons.
Okay.
And so between the 4 of us, we really handle all the instruction.
Yeah.
Heather heads up our junior program, so she's really in charge of our PGA Junior League and a lot of the stuff we do with the kiddos.
Which is awesome.
Thank you.
The Enzo loves Academy. Is that Academy?
That is, yeah.
Loves Academy.
Yeah.
And now, are you going to do a summer camp like that for kids?
So we have a summer league like that.
Summer league.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
talk about that.
we meet on Thursday evenings,
Okay.
much like we did in the spring. So it's a Thursday evening, hour and a half practice.
Okay.
That's every Thursday through the summer for June and July.
Okay.
And then we play tournaments on the weekends. So the events are normally Saturday afternoons. In those 2 months, we'll play 6 to 7 events.
That's cool.
Really a cool program, and Heather does a fantastic job with it. I mean, she's like just a wizard when it comes to the kids, right? And playing with them and coming up with games and ways to make it fun. And there are times when I'm scratching my head, and she's got an idea that's like, I can't believe that you came up with that, and it's got the kids focused. And I'm truly lucky to have her in my corner in that regard.
Heather's awesome. Enzo does not want to miss Academy.
Awesome.
I'm not kidding.
That's
he
awesome.
could be dead tired. He does not want to miss Academy. So what you put together is incredible.
Cool. Love to hear that.
Yeah. So kind of wrapping this up, I think about you're doing a lot of instruction. You got your driving range here. So what's the next phase of what you want to do out there with R2M Golf Academy? What is that next phase that you're wanting to look at for the future?
Sure. That's a great question. We, my staff kind of gives me a hard time, and they say, you've always got something going on, something up your sleeve. They worry sometimes if I go outside and I just stand on the patio. Yeah, they're like, what's he thinking about out there? Like, is he going to order some more rocks to lay down somewhere? Is he going to get another pallet of sod, right?
So, is he going to get the honeybees?
Yeah, like what's going on next? He's got a bee box out there. What's he doing? I don't know. I'm super passionate about food and wine. Right.
Okay.
I mean, that's another passion of mine. And so during COVID last year, we had a kitchen built out there. It's a very small studio style kitchen. Yeah. And so we do offer food service out there. We've really kind of spiced the place up a bit in regards to like outdoor hangout seating areas. So while the golf is super important to me and certainly teaching golf is my passion. We're kind of trying to create more of a social outlet for people. Yeah. So that it's a scenario where you can come out there and you can hang out and you can order food. We're a BYOB facility, so if you want to bring a bottle of wine or 6 bottles of tequila, like you said, then bring them and bring some friends and you can hang out and slap some golf balls while you do it and kind of make it that type of an atmosphere where you don't feel like you have to leave, right? If you're there and you've got the golf and you've got something to eat, and you've got something to drink, and you've got friends, and it's, if you want, it's outside. So relax and hang out and enjoy.
And how late are you open?
So we're 9 to 9.
9 to 9.
Yeah,
okay.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, 9 to 9. Easiest way to get there off of Austin Highway is what's tell me that road. Ira Lee?
Ira Lee.
Come down Ira Lee, you'll see it right there.
Yeah.
You're coming from Austin Highway, it's gonna be on your right.
Correct.
If you're coming from 410, it'll be on your left. Right, coming down from 410.
If you're coming 410 from the north side of town, Ira Lee off the access road of 410 will be on your right hand side.
On your right. Okay, and then the Golf Academy when you get down there
will be on the left.
Yeah. Okay, we can't leave this episode without talking about your kiddos, your family, your twins.
Sure.
You have twin girls. Talk about your family and what do they think about golf? I'm curious.
They're crazy. First of all, my family's crazy.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people would say that about their families, right? You live inside that those 4 walls with them, and it's like you see things, and it's like, oh, these, I'm responsible for these people.
Yes.
Like it's crazy. And so you already mentioned Jack. Jack's got bonkers energy, right? I mean, the guy never stops. And his twin sisters are much like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, they have some downtime, but they're crazy energetic. Always doing something. They love to come out to the driving range and run around like crazy and play with the animals and see the nature. And, as you mentioned, they want to see the honeybees, right? Or I mean, it's, we're definitely a go family, right? I mean, we're on the move. And so Jack has gotten into golf, right? Jack, he's part of the junior team.
He was with Enzo at one of the tournaments.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So he's kind of gotten into golf. It's cool that he's taken to it at a younger age than I did because, I didn't have the energy he does, and I kind of like snuffed it. But he's taken to it. I don't know how much of that is just, my involvement with it.
Yeah.
The girls, as although they're young, they're 4.5 now. They seem like they're starting to express a little interest.
Very cool.
Which is kind of cool, yeah. So I'm excited to kind of see where that goes.
Yes.
I don't think I want to teach any of them, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So when it comes to the stuff we do with the juniors, I'm always like, hey, let's put Jack in like Jake's group or Heather's group or something, right? I mean, I don't.
It's hard.
It's really difficult. I mean, he literally has told me like, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like,
oh, I feel better. I just want you to know I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was the only one going through this with my son. Mm-hmm. Like, here I was a teacher. Mm-hmm. COVID happens. I'm trying to teach my son. And he's like, you're not my teacher. I was like, I taught for 11 years.
I did this. Like, this is how this roof is over your head, right?
Yes. That's really interesting. Yeah. But you know what? It does make sense in the long run. I've talked to a lot of dads that have had, kids have moved on. They're in college, what have you.
Yep.
they've all told me the same thing. Just be patient with it.
Mm-hmm.
They come around and then they start asking, right? So there's that point where they eventually realize, well, maybe my dad does know something.
Maybe he's not a total idiot. I don't know. Maybe it's just
Seriously.
something. Yeah.
What are your girls like? What are they into?
They're right now they just started swimming. Right, so
Oh.
that's kind of exciting.
Okay.
And they're into dance, right? So they do a dance class once a week.
Nice.
And I hope that they're going to be into golf here soon.
Yeah.
But but like I said, they've got a ton of energy, so they're going to be active outside. I think just like Jack is.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean they've got a little club they kind of mess around with in the backyard, and I think we're probably getting close to the time where maybe they can come to the driving range without putting themselves or somebody else at danger, right? But yeah, I think probably in the next year we can introduce that to them a little more seriously, and I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, it's a blast just to see them and to have Jack out there and kind of see his energy for it. I think is so cool.
It is cool. Now, what advice? I think this is important, and I wanted to ask you this. Because you started a little later, and you and I have had a couple of conversations about this, right, in terms of golf.
Sure.
What advice would you give parents for their kids with this game? Because, Enzo's played in some tournaments, and, these kids are shooting 76. They're 11 years old. One kid, he shot par, TPC.
Seriously,
you're like,
yeah.
and I'm just looking, going, okay, my mind it's hard for me to even understand that.
Sure.
What do you, when you look at it, the kind of the way this is trending, because it's younger, obviously kids are younger and younger and they're playing. What are your thoughts on that? And what would you advise parents in terms of the instructional part?
I go back to kind of what I said earlier about patience, right? I mean, I think, the parents sometimes of the kids are equally as guilty of being impatient as maybe the student is, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that everybody develops at their own pace, right? And so it's really hard, as a parent of a kid to say, well, so and so is making progress, right? Or so and so's, my son's friend is, just shot even par, or seems to be progressing at a faster pace. Why isn't my kid doing that, right? And I think that's a dangerous path to go down, right? Because we're talking about this being a game that you'll play the rest of your life, right? And that everybody's going to develop and learn golf at a different pace, just like they'll develop and learn at a different pace in school.
Yeah.
And so I think those comparisons are dangerous, right? And so I think probably the best advice I could give is just to be patient.
Yeah.
And as long as they're having fun, right, and they associate golf with fun, then you're doing fine.
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
Yeah, and you'll figure out, like, if it really clicks for them and it's something they want to do, then all of a sudden they're asking you to go to the course. You're not asking them.
Yep.
But until that point, I mean, it's just, I think if they're associating it with something that's enjoyable, then you're winning.
Then you're winning. That's the point.
Then you're winning.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, I want to say this again. Your academy, if for parents out there, if you're looking for a very it's not intimidating, right? Sometimes these academies for kids can be a little intimidating, like, oh my gosh, what are they going to be doing?
Sure.
You've got every level in the rainbow in your academy, from
Sure.
kids just starting to kids that have been playing for a while. And the amazing thing about it is that Enzo wants to go, and he doesn't want to miss. And we have a friend, our buddy Gilly, his son started going Malachi.
Yeah.
He wants to go. He wants to be there. And that, to me, the fun aspect of golf is really the piece where you can get, they get excited about it. Then it's not as intimidating.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think you guys do a really good job. So the summer camp starts when?
So that starts the first Thursday in June.
First Thursday in June.
Yep.
What's the best way for people to get their kids signed up for that?
So you can reach out to us via the website or the email address. So it's RIIM Golf Academy at Gmail.
RIIM.
Golf Academy at Gmail.
Okay.
And just inquire that way. We can get you all the registration info that you need and kind of go from there.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And it goes June all the way through July.
It
every
does,
Thursday.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's killer.
Yep.
And trust me, parents, your kids are gonna flat out love it. They mix it's fun.
It's fun.
I just I watch him and like he's engaged literally from beginning to end.
Yeah, we're serious about it and like we're pretty goofy at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So at any given moment there might be like a hula hooping contest that just breaks out.
Of course.
Right. But I mean that's valuable because of course hula hoops and golf go together.
They
right?
go
So,
together.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You got to use your hips, darn it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
All right, so last thing to wrap this up, your golf tournament's coming up.
It is.
And it's a big deal. You've done it how many years?
This will be the third.
Third year.
Yeah.
Raising money.
We are.
Okay, so
Yeah.
talk a little bit about this golf tournament, the genesis of it, and how people can sign up.
Sure.
And now, it's at TPC.
It's at TPC.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
So enough said.
you need to go.
Enough said. Yeah,
Exactly.
you got to be there. You got to be there, right?
Yes.
We're not playing the Oaks course. We are going to play the Canyons, right?
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
It's a little more user friendly.
Yeah.
But the golf tournament, it holds a special place for me because it's in memory of my dad who passed a few years ago from cancer.
Okay.
When he passed away, my mom opened a nonprofit in his name. With his military time, we've named it the Colonel Foundation, right? So
That's cool.
and so it raises funds for research against cholangiocarcinoma,
Okay.
which is what he passed from.
Okay.
And so it's something that obviously is special to me.
Yeah.
Previous to this event, we did some fundraising for various organizations involving breast cancer. My mom's a breast cancer survivor.
Okay.
And so I really love the aspect of being able to host these events and be able to raise some money for good causes.
Yeah.
And this one in particular, obviously, it just hit very close to home.
Yeah.
And so it was a no-brainer after he passed. We said, hey, we're going to try and as terrible as it is, we're going to try and do something positive out of this.
Yes.
So she opens this nonprofit. I've put together the golf tournament.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a good time. The last couple have been a good time. We get family that come in from out of town, and a lot of my clients are game for it.
Yeah.
Scrambles are a good time, right? I mean,
awesome.
any of y'all that have out there that have played in scrambles, say, hey, it's a time to go out and it's the what I call kind of the bowling of golf, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go out and have a few drinks and have a good time, and you're slapping the ball around, you're with friends. You're doing something positive. It's at a beautiful
Raising
facility.
money for a great cause.
Yeah, raising money. And so following the event, we normally do a silent auction. We get a lot of donations, cool prizes for that.
Okay.
And so it's something that I would certainly love all the support we can get.
Yes.
And you can reach out, via that same email to us to get registered for that.
Okay.
We can do teams. We have whole sponsorships.
Okay. Do you have pricing already? Everything already set for teams?
We do, yeah.
Okay,
So
awesome.
teams are $600 a team.
Okay.
You can do whole sponsorships for $750
Okay.
or $1,250.
All right.
And so we would love the support and love to see you out there.
Yeah. So I just gonna tell it's $600 a team. Let me just tell you guys, go sign up now. You're not gonna play TPC for 4 people for $600. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing opportunity to play TPC. And while you're at it, sponsor a few holes, okay? Yeah. Especially all the real estate agents. We've made really good money this year. Let's support this. Luxury Home Magazine is going to be there. We're going to have a team. Shane, you're going to have a team. So Shane Tolkheim, you better make sure you have your team ready as well.
Awesome.
Well, Rob, listen, I want to thank you for being on TM3 Impact. We're going to have the link for the email to find out about the golf tournament.
Okay.
On the on all of our from YouTube to iTunes, it's going to be all over, so people can find out more, and they can also reach out about the Golf Academy. Thank you for being on TM3 Impact, my friend.
Of course. Thanks for having me this morning.
Training.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.
You got it.